people leaving and the whole process and the hiring, you know, is there something that needs to be fixed there? Is there something wrong?
Well, I think it's like everything else. I mean, when you have a person in there, there's a certain way of doing things. I think now it's now that we have some retirements, I think it's time to take a new view of how the city is going to be led. I think that it'll be bring new ideas into the corporation. I think it's that's important, and now's the time to do it. Now the retirements have come forward, so I think it's a good time to get a new look on where Cornwall wants to go, and make sure that we include transparency.
Do you think Cornwall's finished cleaning house?
Well, I don't know if I'll clean house. I mean, the bottom line is there's two people who decide to retire, and I think now's the time to take advantage of taking a little look at where the municipality wants to go.
Andre, just you, as in your own opinion as a city councillor, where do you want the community to go?
Well, you know, it's not a secret. I think that the community is going to be more transparency. I don't think there's enough transparency, and I think that the people have a right to know, and I didn't see that happening over the last two terms anyway.
Do you think Mr. Fitzpatrick was under pressure from council and the public to speed up the retirement process?
No, I think it's his own decision what he wants to do, and then he's done it, and you know, everybody decides when he's going to have 35 years in, so everybody decides when they want to go, when they want to retire. I did it myself, so it was his decision.
Have the taxpayers been served well with the way the processes have unfolded, the hiring processes and then the severances, settlements, payouts, retirements? Is there a better way? Could things have been handled better to mitigate the expense for taxpayers?
I think there was. I think council has that power to do that. Do I think council should have been more proactive in the last 2 years? I definitely do. I think it's got to the point when issues occur, council has to be able to stand up and deal with them. And I don't think, listen, I don't blame administration because council's endorsed some of the issues that occurred, and it should have been dealt with. So, do I blame administration? No, I blame council for not taking the lead and taking the reins and saying we're going this way and this is what's going to happen. And it never did.
Andre, do you think the block of 6 councillors need to be held accountable? We've lost Councillor O'Shaughnessy, and I think we're going to be hearing more on that eventually. You've gone public with some of your frustrations. I know of 2 other city councillors that are very frustrated but are a little timid to step out because they want to run for a re-election, and you've said you pretty much are not running for re-election.
No.
You know, at what point do you think that this group of 6 have to be held accountable?
Well, I'm going to tell you that, you know, I'm not going to say it's a group of 6. I'm going to say that the decisions are made by people who want to make them their way. I think that they have to be held accountable. I think the voters will look at that. I think they have to get up in the morning and look themselves in the mirror every day, and I believe that I have no problem doing that. Why they make the decisions they make, I don't know. That's their prerogative. That's what they're voted in for. But I think that it's been a frustrating process.
Do you think the public's ever going to know how many millions of dollars have been frittered away via council through all this litigation and all these stuff that is all in secret in camera or is buried in reports?
I don't know. I think, you know, personally myself, if the people want that, they can't get it through freedom of information. I put about 5,000 signatures down and go down to Municipal Affairs and say, we want you to take a look and we want to know this. We have the right to know. And I think Municipal Affairs is playing a backbencher here. Because I can tell you, I know one councillor has contacted Municipal Affairs just this week, and he said, I'll call you back, and called back, and the councillor asked, who did you talk to? Well, we talked to your clerk. Well, what's the use of calling Municipal Affairs if you're going to ask, you know, the issues that are being dealt with or you're frustrated by? You're calling Municipal Affairs for assistance, for guidance, and you're not getting it. So I think that Municipal Affairs are the ones that have to be held up.
And isn't this where maybe our MPP should be stepping up?
Sure, I totally agree. But this is not going to be done unless the taxpayers of Cornwall decide they want it done. And they got to voice their opinions.
there's a certain irony in the fact that Manaw's settlement was released, right?
Yes.
Manaw's settlement details were released, but Donna Drescher's weren't,
Or Mr. Fitzpatrick's.
or Mr. Fitzpatrick's.
That,
Where's the consistency there?
I don't know, it's news to me. I was very surprised to see some of that stuff in the paper. That's, you know, we're being told that's all information that can't be repeated because of privacy agreements. I don't have a clue. I was surprised to read that myself. Where it came from, it had to come from somewhere who had the other information, and I guarantee you it's not any of the councillors would have had it.
Is there a double standard going on? Because it seems like when there's things that City Hall wants to keep quiet, you guys are told to keep your mouth shut, but then all of a sudden, when it seems to be to certain people's advantage, all of a sudden you see private details leaked to another newspaper.
Yeah, well,
Is that a double standard?
well, if you look at it that way, it would be a double standard. But I think if you look at it, you know, it depends who released the information. You know, so it's one of those things that you know, you really don't know.
But should it be universal? Either release the settlements, all the settlements, or don't release any settlements?
I agree. But that is basically when an agreement is come into play and you know, agreements are made, and if they're supposed to be confidential agreements, you're right, that should not be. If they're going to do that, it should be open to everybody.
Andre, do you think Robert Manaw was treated fairly by the City of Cornwall?
I don't know. I think that fairly. I mean, bottom line, when council made decisions on the information you received.
Did you vote to terminate him?
Yeah. But yeah, I'll just put it that way.
Is Manaw the fall guy though for other people in administration?
You'd have to ask council that, because the information I received, I believe that, as he said to you guys, he wasn't the lone writer. So I don't know.
Do you think you received all the information based on his case before you made that decision?
No.
Do you think you'd make the same decision today if you had more information?
Probably, but I think that it was all the information really wasn't given to council. No different from the last one.
Are there a lot of issues that you think all the information wasn't given to council by Mr. Fitzpatrick or management?
Well, I say, you know, I got myself into the problems when I made a statement in the last interview with you when I said the buck stopped at the CAO's desk, and I see this week in the paper the mayor made the same comment himself, saying that the buck stopped at his desk. So I would have to say the buck stopped at his desk.
Now, we've never really talked much about Mayor Kilger. How big of a role does he play in all of this?
Well, he's the chief. He will, you know, he's the guy that has to make sure the council gets all the information. And do I feel that we've gotten that? No.
Do you think he's been more supportive of Mr. Fitzpatrick than Mr. Fitzpatrick might deserve?
I can't comment on that. I really don't know.
Can I just like to direct back the process, because you wanted to talk about Paul's retirement and how it went about. What particular problems do you have with the way that came about?
Well, I think that myself and other councillors are frustrated that the agreement was supposed to come back to council for final review, and that was the interpretation that not only myself but 3 councillors that I know had the same interpretation, and it didn't happen that way.
So it never came back to council?
Not for the final, no. I was told the only guys get the final document is the mayor. We were shown some documents and taken away from us after the end of the meeting.
So how can that happen? How can that happen if council hasn't given us approval?
Well, what we're being told is, you know, again, you gave your the approval. The bottom line is, as you know, the closed meeting investigation was held, and then part of this here also states that you know, we're talking closed council meeting.
Yeah.
The Act also imposes certain restrictions on the meetings that is held without public presence, by requiring no vote to be taken on any matter unless the vote is for procedural matters or given direction to or instructions to officers of the municipality.
So
Now,
you're talking the meeting that wasn't announced
Yeah.
2 Mondays ago?
yeah.
And this was the meeting that this is the meeting that made the decision.
This is the meeting they made the decision.
Decision on policy
Yeah,
government.
so, but you know, I think I was under the impression, and there's other councils under the impression, that this thing was going to come back to us.
And the city's lawyer was at that meeting too. Because I met him outside of the meeting after I shot video of you guys having your meal.
Yeah, he was there.
So can you just reiterate that again? The decision to approve Paul's retirement was made at a secret meeting that wasn't announced to the public.
Well, okay, well, you know, that's a different issue. You not being notified, press not being notified, that's direct. That's the responsibility of the clerk.
But how democratic is that though?
Well, I mean, it shouldn't have been. You should have got there's no doubt in my mind.
Where's the checks and balances for the public?
Well-
if you have a secret meeting to approve a deal for somebody.
Well, that's the man at the top has to make, you know, bring that forward and ask the reasons why. I think it's one of those things that.
Aren't you basically just like a cabal at that point? Just kind of having all the power to yourself and making decisions in secret?
Well, let me tell you, we don't have the council hasn't got all the power themselves.
Well, who does?
Well, it's.
I mean,
We can only make decisions on what's given us, Jamie. Is what I'm trying to say. And
And I'm not criticizing. I'm not criticizing you,
No.
Andre. But what I'm trying to get at is these guys are seeing it from the inside
Yeah.
as council members. The public is from the outside, looking at it from the outside, and it's no different than looking at the Kremlin
Craig,
or wherever else. You know.
I totally agree with you, and that's what is frustrating to me. And that's what I talk about. All the council being painted with the same brush.
now, how could council in good faith, because they all know that whatever took place at that meeting was a secret meeting because the media was not notified, yet all of council seems to be very silent on this issue. They're part and parcel. I mean, if it's the mayor or the CAO that's doing wrong, with the silence of council, that makes them accessories.
Well, you know, I think you need to be an accessory. You got to know what's going on. You know, you got to know what's in there, and it's.
But how can this agreement, to go back to the agreement, how can it be a legitimate agreement if council hasn't approved it?
Well, that's what I'm trying to say. We were told they approved it. If you understand, at the end of the meeting, there's
It's like
bylaw stating that this bylaw is passed to include all the procedure or the minutes of that meeting.
so it's an
the meeting today.
omnibus.
What they did, it included the closed council portion in there too.
So when was
And
the
knowing
bylaw-
full well that council wanted to discuss this thing.
So when was the bylaw passed? At the last open meeting?
Yeah, at the end, that's right. There's
Okay.
the closed meeting and there's the open meeting. At the end of the open meeting, they passed the bylaw to pass all the business of that day, which.
Okay, so they just lumped it in like an omnibus.
Yeah, but the thing is that when you go to the next meeting, these things are separate. You know, you're approving the closed, you're approving the open. Yet, when this is done, it's all in one. They have, and I've been told that they have received some legal advice on this, because I can tell you, when I brought it forward, the closed council investigator, which council adopted,
Yeah.
and asked that question with a lawyer there was a mayor called a 5-minute recess, and they went in the back room and they tried to take a look, and now I was told that he's being viewed as an agent of the corporation, and that's the reason why we were able to
Who's being viewed as an agent of the corporation?
well, because in
Mr.
here.
Sheriff Scott.
Yeah, well,
Okay.
you know,
Lawyer.
the legal person, yeah.